This conference will now be recorded.
So let me log on to my HANA Studio. In the last class, we have seen about your string functions, and we have seen what are the different types of string functions we do have. And now let's see how can we use that string functions in our normal SAP. So when we want to write our SAP ABAP code, can we able to use these string functions or not? So as I was mentioning you in the earlier classes, whatever we are using in whatever you are using in CDS views, most of the things we can able to use it in our select a query. In our select a query, most of the things we can able to use it. Now if I go to SC38 editor, so now let's take C8AM, the string functions. I'm going to take this as string functions, just click on create, and I'm going to say this as the string functions. And now I'm going to take this as executable program, and let me click on my save, and I'm going to save that in my local package. Now I'm going to write this as no standard page heading. Now my requirement is my requirement is I want to use the string functions string functions in the normal select query. Normal select query, or I can say this as the normal SQL query. So whatever the query which we are writing is nothing but a SQL query. So the new syntax, how we need to write the new syntax? The new syntax, select from. We need to write from. From what is my table? So let's take for example VBAK. Let's take for example the VBAK table. I'm going to take this as fields. I'm going to take this as fields. What are the fields which you required? What are the fields which you required? The first thing is I want to do the concatenate. So I'm going to say concat with the space. With the space of what is your first field? I want to say concatenate VBELN, comma, ERDAT, VBELN, comma, ERDAT, and how many spaces you want? Let's say I want 2 spaces. So this is what my first field. Now I want to find the length of this one. So now I'm concatenating these two things, and then I want to find the length of this one. So now whenever you are using this, you have to provide your alias names. Whenever you are using any string operations, you have to always provide your alias. So I'm going to say sales ORD. Now the as the length underscore ord. So this is what my second field. Now what is the third field? I want to use my lpad, lpad or ltrim, ltrim of what is my thing? VBELN comma 0. I want to remove my 0 as ltrim 1. Now in the same way, I just want to use my rpad, rpad, and I want to add this entire thing. So suppose I'm going to do this. So concatenate, this is my first field. Concatenate rpad. And what is the one you need to provide as rpad? If you see here, you need to provide the length. What is my length? So let's take, I'm going to provide the length as 30. And what is the value I want to pass as x, as rpad 1, rpad 1. So in similarly, if you want to replace replace so what is the one, what is the replace? Let's say I want to replace ERNAM uh, of pest. So I want to check whether the pest is available with whatever the value you want. East, I want to update with East as the new ERNAM. I'm just going to say this as new ERNAM. Now in similarly like that, you can able to use any of your statements. Now after this, if you have your where conditions, you have to write your where conditions into table at the rate data of GT underscore final. Let's take, I'm going to take this as GT underscore your final. Now do your pretty printer and let's check this if you find any issues. Okay, check this, check this. Now no issues. Now if I go ahead and display the data, see whatever we have seen, everything we can able to use that display data, and then CL underscore demo underscore output, and then I'm going to say this as my display. So what I can pass, I can able to pass my GT underscore the final, GT underscore the final. Now do your pretty printer and let's get activate the code. Let's get activate the code. Now when I click on execute, see here it has been concatenated and the length it is showing it as 20, and it has do the trim, and it has done your rpad, and it has changed the username to east. It has changed the username to east. So whatever the string operations which we are doing in your HANA Studio or in your Eclipse, right now with your updated syntaxes, you can able to do all those things. You can able to do all those things. You can able to do all those things. Okay. So this is what is called as your string functions. This is what we will call it as the string functions. Now, the next thing we are going to see is your conversion functions. The next thing we are going to see is your conversion functions. Just give me 1 minute. So now let's see this. So now we are going to see the conversion functions. Whatever the conversion functions we do have, we will go ahead and see. So whether you want to convert the floating value into a decimal, the floating value into a decimal, or and then the unit conversion. So if I want to convert from kgs to dozens, or kgs to quintals. So like that, if you want to convert, so then you have to use this convert unit conversion. Next, in the same way, the currency conversion, when you want to convert from one currency to another currency, you will be using this currency conversion. And the decimal shift, if I want to shift my decimals, so then you can use your decimal shift. Then you can use your decimal shift. So let's go ahead and see those two examples. Let's go ahead and see those two examples. So now what I will do, I'll just go ahead and create one more CDS view. So Control N, I'm going to take this as CDS. So data definition, click on next, and then I'm going to say this as the $TMP, and then I'm going to say G CDS view CDS underscore the U conversions. I'm just going to say this as conversions. And now, so example on the conversions. Now let's click on next. I'm going to say this as next, and then define view, and I'll say this as finish. Now I'm going to say this as ZCDS conversion. Now from the data source, let's take this as the from VBAK table. Any table you can take it. I'm just going ahead with the VBAK table. Now I want to convert. So I'm going to say this as key value VBELN, as we do have the preserve key. We have to pass this as VBELN. And now I'm going to say the first thing is so I'm going to convert my floating value into the integer. So now in that cases, what you have to do, you have to use floating to decimal. See this, floating to decimal. And what is my argument? Let's say I'm going to pass 10 comma 6543 as I need to convert this value. From which value I want to convert? ABAP dot decimal. See here. So what is my length? My length is 10. Let's take, I'm going to give the length as 10, and let's say I'm going to give this as decimal as 0. So now as integer, you can directly use this as your integer, or I can say this as value 1. In the same way, I want to have some, what I mean to say, I want to have this decimals to be also populated. Then you can use how much the length of your decimal you want, floating to decimal. And now I'm going to pass my argument. Whatever the argument value I do have, I will just go ahead and pass this one 10 comma 6543 as ABAP dot DEC decimal. And now I'm going to pass this as length 10 characters, and let's say I want to pass this as decimal 2 characters as my value 2. So if in case of your NETPR, if you want to show only one digit in the output, only 1 digit length in the output. So in those cases, you can able to use your floating to decimal. Okay, now I'm going to say this as this one. So now it's good. Now I'll just go ahead and say shift F1 to align this, control F3 to activate, and then if I say F8, sorry, F8, now you can see this, the value is 10 and 10.65. Now if I go here and if I say this as 10.56, so it will just consider what is the two decimals. If I just say this as 3, now if I say F3, now what is the value you have to see? 10.656. So whether we are going to get that value or not, we will just see that one. See 10.656, and it will not equivalent to your next number. It won't change to your next number. Remember that. Remember that it won't change to your next number. It will always provide you what is the length you have provided. What is the length you have provided? Okay. So this is what you can use your floating to decimal integer. Floating to decimal. Floating to decimal. And here, if you want, let's say I want to do the modulo, you can be able to use your modulo statement. Whatever the statements which we have seen in your day before yesterday's session, this modulo, silly, division, whatever you want, you can go ahead and use that. So let's take, I have say division of 10 or else 2 comma 3, and what is how much you want. I want, let's say, 4 spaces. 4. Lateral columns are allowed. Oh, okay. So I guess here this functions is not allowing, only the lateral numbers. Let's take NETPR. NETPR. So this one is also not allowed. NETVBAP. Let me go ahead with VBAP. So I'll be using this cast operator, casting, and then I'm going to convert this netpr as my ABAP dot cat, and the length, let's take this as 30, and now as. So I have converted this into casting operator. Okay, 1 second. So this is also not working. I hope this will work, but we are facing some issues, but in real time it will work for sure. ABAP dot currency, CURR. So now it will work. Now it will work. Now see this, it has to work. Parameter as I have provided this as currency only. Why it is not working? No, it has to work, but I don't know what is the reason behind it's not working. So NETPR is your amount. For your amount, it will work for sure. But anyways, so this is how you have to use your floating value. This is how you have to use your float to decimal. Now I want to convert the units. I want to convert my units. Convert the units. So in that case, you have to use, you will be having a function called as your unit conversion. It's a direct function which has been provided by your SAP. In the same way, you do have something called as your currency conversion also. So this is a direct way that SAP has been provided, provided. So now let's see this. How can I use this? Now if I say unit underscore conversion, now what is my quantity? My quantity will be stored in ZME ZMENG. What is my source? What is my source unit? My source unit is, I want to take ZIEME. ZIEME. The target unit, let's say I want to convert that into the kgs. The kgs. Now, if you are passing a wrong one, how can you handle this runtime error? If let's say I have passed a wrong target quantity, how can I pass this? So in that case, you have to use something called as your error handling. So I'll just say comma here, error underscore handling. Error underscore handling. And then what is the value you have to provide? You always say set not to null. So set to null as your converted value. Set to null. So that means it can't able to convert your value. So that's the error you have to provide. Set to null as your converted value, as your converted value. So what is the error it got? Incorrect data type. So cages, why it is showing? Okay, let me show you with the parameters. Sorry, I'm just going with an input parameters. So p underscore. So whatever the unit I want to pass, So the same thing, to unit. So whatever the unit I want to pass, which is of type ABAP dot unit, and I'm going to take this as length 3. ABAP dot unit dot length 3. Now I'm going to pass this as p underscore, see here, dot the dollars parameters dot p underscore your unit, the dollar parameter, the p underscore your unit. Okay. Okay, this is what you have to provide. So you can use either your dollar parameters, or you can just say simply a double colon, or you can use the single colon, or you can use either your dollar parameters dot your p underscore unit, or you can simply use your single quotation. That's what I have done this. Now when I say shift F1, so I just done my unit correction. So I'm going to put this as my source quantity, and now I'm going to put this as my target quantity. So this is the most important interview question. Have you worked on any unit conversions? Have you worked on conversions in CDS view? Can you tell me how to do that? What is the function behind to convert the unit conversion? What is the function you have to use? Now if I say control F3, it will just get activated your code. And now when I say F8, it will just ask your input. See this, for the very first time it will ask your input. So now if I take this as units, so I'll just go to my table /o VBAK, or sorry, SE16N. I'm going to the table VBAP, and then I'll just say click on execute. Let me see whatever we do have.
So I'm going ahead with my PCs. So PC, and now I'll just say click on data preview. Now see here, it has not converted. There is no converted value. It can't able to convert. It can't able to convert your value. The converted value is not able to show you. So what is the converted value? Because here, if you take this as the target value, and sorry, ZM, what is the field? So ZMENG, see here we do have the zero quantity. We do have the zero quantity. Now in the same example, if you see here, it has been done your conversion. So now it is done doing your conversion. The original value is H and it has converted to your minutes. The original value is your H and it has to convert it your minutes. How many minutes it has to convert? It's just converted that into the currency. The currency. Okay, this is what your currency conversion is. So sorry, the unit conversion is. In the same way, you do have your currency conversion also. You do have your currency conversion also. So if I want to convert from one currency to another currency, you just need to pass this currency conversion. So currency conversion. So now I'm going to say, so the currency conversion, the same thing. So here, what is your amount? What is your source rate? What is your target rate? And what is the exchange rate date? Exchange rate date. So let's say the amount I'm going to pass this as 600. Okay, now I'm going to say this as my INR, and now I'll just say comma over here, and then I'm going to take this as USD. I'm going to take this as my USD, and what is the exchange rate date? Exchange rate date, I'm going to take this as my dollar session date. So my dollar session date, or whatever the date which I'm going to populate in my input, whatever the date which I'm going to populate in my input. So I'm going to take this as the date. So dollar session dot system date, dollar session dot system date, and then you need to use this as error handling set to null. Error handling set to null to avoid your runtime errors. So I'm just going to keep my comma over here as the currency value, the currency value as my currency value. So now when I check this one, what is the error? For amount only columns parameters can be passed. You can't able to pass the default. Let's say I'm going to pass NETWR. NETWR. Okay, now I'm going to take this as P underscore your source. So with multiple parameters, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to take this as P underscore your source. What is the source currency? Or I'm going to take this as in the source WEARK. W. Let me keep this. WEARK. WAERK, and then your target currency also I need to change. See here the USD. For this I'm going to have my target currency. I'm going to say this as target currency. The target currency here I need to provide this as comma, and then ABAP dot CUKY currency key. What is the length of your currency key? I'm just going to provide this as my 3. I'm just going to provide it as my 3, or okay, I'll just provide it as the length equal to 5. So now here I need to change this as dollar parameters dot p underscore your target, p underscore your target. So now once I pass this, okay, so I need to pass my date, p underscore date is equal to, it has to work, but here we are seeing this issue. So in real time, it will work for sure. Dax, and now here I'm going to say this as p underscore p underscore p underscore, or I can say this as dollar parameters dot p underscore the date, p underscore the date. So that's it. Now I'll just say shift F1 to set this, and then control F3, and if I say this as F8, function F8. So now what is per unit? I want to convert that into eaches, let's say, and my target is let's say USD and our INR, and the date is 2023 04/27. So now if I click on data preview, see, it has converted your value. It has converted your currency value to INR. It has converted the currency value to your INR automatically. System is converting the value. Whatever the value we do have as per today's exchange rate, it is going to convert. Okay. So this is what you need to use your currency conversions as well as your exchange rates. The same thing you can also use that in your select queries. The same way you will just pass your currency conversion and you have to pass all this one. So then it is going to work in your currency also. So clear with this? Lakshmi, clear? Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
So now the next thing we are going to see, I didn't tell you about with parameters. I'm going to tell you about with parameters. So this is how you need to provide with parameters and what is a type. So how you will be providing the parameters in your normal syntax. So in your normal syntax, if I want to provide the parameters, so you will say parameters p underscore the description, and you will be providing the type as your data element. So here also you can able to provide your data elements too. Let's take, if I go here and I can say this as, what is this? So as ERDAT, it will work. ERDAT, it will work. It won't show you any issue. If you doesn't want, and if you want to provide your own predefined type, like let's say if you want to say cat 10 or cat 20, like that, or cat 30 or datum. So like that, if you want to pass, you can provide that. So in the same way, if you want, you can provide here your data elements. So the table hyphen field name is not possible. Remember that. Here, the table hyphen field name, the table hyphen field name is not possible. The field name is not possible. Is not at all possible in this. In this, the table hyphen field name is not at all possible. So you have to always use, we need to always use either the data element, we need to use the data element or your predefined data types, Now you can ask me a question, how to pass your select, how to pass the select options. You can ask me this question, how to pass the select options. By default, by default, we can't able to pass the select option. We can't able to pass the select option. For this, we need to use an annotation. For this, we need to use an annotation. I'll be letting you know that annotation. This is also one of your most important interview question. This is also one of your most important interview question. Now, the next thing we are going to see is, what is the next thing we do have? We do have here. So this is your currency conversion, and the next thing we are going to see the date and the time related functions. We do have the next thing we are going to see is your date and time related functions. So now I want to calculate the difference between 2 days. Let's say I want to calculate the difference between two dates. Now I want to calculate the difference between whether the date what you have provided, whether the date is a valid one or not. If I want to check that whether the date is a valid one, so then I want to check the difference between the dates between the days, and I want to add the days, or I want to add the month. I want to add the months, how many months I want to add. In the same way, the time functions, whether the time is a valid time or not, whatever the time you entered is a valid time or not. So in the same way, the timestamp. So what is meant by this timestamp? You might be knowing this, the timestamp. So the timestamp is nothing but you will be getting in the form of the date and the seconds. The date and your seconds. So in real time, how you will be getting it as 2018 or 2023/04/27, and you will be getting a T over here and followed by your seconds, followed by your time. So let's take 23, 56, 57. So this is what your date and date timestamp. Whether your date timestamp is a valid or not. Timestamp is a valid or not, and timestamp to current UTC time format. I want to convert that into my current UTC time format, and timestamp seconds between, and the timestamp add seconds if I want to add my seconds. Now in the same way, time zone, ABAP system time zone and ABAP user time zone. So system time zone is, so let's say you are working in India. So what is our time zone? IST. And your server can be located in US. US, you do have something called as EST or PST or any time zone you have. So now your server is in UST. So if I take ABAP system time zone, system time zone is in EST, whereas we user time zone is IST. How can I find out that? So in that cases, you have to use this time functions. Now that timestamp to date, I want to convert my timestamps what I have received into my date format. I want to convert the timestamp into time format. I want to convert the timestamp into date time format. So all these things. Now if I go here, so see here we have used whatever the parameters we do have, number of days and number of months, and we have seen what is the value, whether you have passed this as initial or fake. So you can just pass your error cases. So if it is an error, this will be get displayed. If it is an error, this will be get displayed. So this is what. In the same way, you can also use your timestamp, whether the time is valid or not. You can just go ahead and check your time. You can go ahead and check your time. So this is how you have to use your date and time functions. I would suggest you to go ahead and practice this date and time functions and come back me come back with me tomorrow with your doubts. Come back with me tomorrow with your doubts. So have you logged in? Okay, come back me tomorrow with all your doubts, whatever the doubts you do have. Okay, so that's the end of today's session. Before I signing off for today's session, any other questions, Lakshmi? So from tomorrow onwards, we are going to see how to work with the joins and how to work with your associations, how to work with your joins and how to work with your associations. And then we are going to see the parameter based CDS view. And then we are going to see the virtual data elements in your CDS view. And then we are going to see the virtual data models in your CDS view. So these are the topics that are pending. And then you do have something called as your CDS with table functions. CDS with your table functions. So that's the one more thing. So CDS with table functions, I will tell you once I have done with our AMDP classes. The last topic will be your CDS view with table functions. So clear? Yeah. So I'm just holding up the class right now. So we'll meet you tomorrow again at sharp 8 o'clock and we'll continue our session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.